Imagine this two old dudes from Omaha, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, sitting in a room, sipping cherry Coke, and dropping wisdom bombs that could have saved empires, marriages, and bank accounts if only people listened. Peter Bevelin's book isn't just a collection of their quotes. It's a freaking roadmap to dodging life's landmines. The title alone. All I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there. Is Munger's inversion philosophy in a nutshell. Don't chase success. Avoid failure. It's so simple it hurts, yet most of us stumble right into the traps they've spent decades sidestepping. Bevelin sets it up like a Socratic dialogue. Seeker, librarian, Buffett, Munger, bouncing ideas around in this mythical library of wisdom. It's not dry theory, it's raw, practical, like a grizzled mentor slapping you awake. I read this thing cover to cover, pen in hand, scribbling notes, connecting it to everyone from Rockefeller to Jobs to Bezos. These guys aren't geniuses because they're smarter than us. They're geniuses because they're saner. They've built a system to keep stupidity at bay, and I'm here to unpack it for you. First off, Buffett and Munger don't pretend they're flawless. Buffett says, "I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm going to make more. That's the nature of making a lot of decisions." Munger chimes in, "Stupidity is inevitable. It happens to everyone." This hit me like a freight train. Perfection's a myth. Even these titans screw up. But here's the kicker. They don't beat themselves up over it. Munger's like, "I'm not gnashing my teeth over it. I regard it as perfectly normal." They're not masochists. They're realists. The Seeker's whining, "I don't want to make any mistakes." And Buffett shuts him down. To try to live your life totally free of mistakes is a life of inaction. Boom! You're gonna mess up. Accept it. The trick is making sure the mistakes don't sink you. Buffett's crystal clear. You just have to make sure your blunders are never fatal, and you don't want to make them on the really big decisions. Munger adds, "You can live with quite a bit of stupidity if you avoid the most extreme follies of man." Think about that. Sam Walton botched plenty at Walmart. Early stores were a mess, but he never bet the farm on a dumb idea. Contrast that with, say, Enron, where Jeff Skilling's ego torched billions. Buffett and Munger's edge. They know which mistakes matter. Marriage, health, career, screw those up, and no amount of hustle fixes it. Picking the wrong stock, you'll live. Here's where it gets juicy. Munger drops this. Wisdom is prevention, but very few people do much about it. Buffett backs him up. It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. Prevention is enormously important. This is their secret sauce. Don't wait for the train to hit you. Get off the tracks. The librarian throws in a zinger, maybe from Einstein. A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it. Whether Einstein said it or not, it's gold. Munger's obsessed with this. An ounce of prevention is often worth a ton of cure, he says. Many things are easier to prevent than fix. Buffett nods. Sometimes no amount of cure will overcome the mistakes of the past. Think about health. Skip the smokes now, or no surgeon's scalpel saves your lungs later. Business. Don't over-leverage, or you're Lehman Brothers in 2008. The Seeker's skeptical. So if wisdom is prevention, what do I do? Munger's answer is so simple it's almost insulting. Sit on your ass and read. What? Yeah, read. Buffett spends most of his time with books, 10K's annual reports, quietly preparing. Munger says, why make actual decisions very rapidly? But that's because we've spent so much time preparing ourselves by quietly sitting and reading and thinking. This isn't passive. It's proactive as hell. They're loading their mental ammo so when the shot comes, they don't miss. I see this in Jeff Bezos too. Early Amazon days, he's poring over data, not running around like a headless chicken. Preparation beats reaction. You don't need to be a genius, you need to be ready. But reading's not enough, you've got to think. Buffett's blunt, the best way to minimize risk is to think. Munger piles on, neither Warren nor I is smart enough to make decisions with no time to think. The seeker moans, thinking is so hard. And he's right, it is. Studies show people hate being alone with their thoughts. They'd rather zap themselves with electric shocks. Buffett quotes Bertrand Russell, "Most men would rather die than think." Many do. Savage. Yet these guys make it their superpower. Buffett says, "I can think of no better way to become more intelligent than sit down and read." No meetings, no committees. Just solitude and focus. Munger's the same. Why both insist on a lot of time being available almost every day to just sit and think? They're not busy for the sake of business. Contrast that with the modern hustle porn, multitasking, inbox zero, 80-hour weeks. Munger hates it. "I think people that multitask pay a huge price. You don't have time to think about anything deeply." Steve Jobs got this. He'd take long walks to think, not juggle 10 Zoom calls. Elon Musk. Same deal. Blocks out time to wrestle big problems. Buffett and Munger don't multitask their way to glory. They focus like lasers. Munger says, "I succeeded because I have a long attention span." In a world of tick-tock brains, that's a damn superpower. Now, let's talk simplicity. The seeker's fishing for a secret formula, and Buffett shuts him down. There's no magic to it. What we have is just simplicity itself. Munger doubles down. Our ideas are so simple that people keep asking us for mysteries when all we have are the most elementary ideas. This isn't humility, it's strategy. They avoid complexity like it's a plague. Buffett, Charlie, and I have not learned how to solve difficult business problems. What we have learned is to avoid them. Munger. One of the greatest ways to avoid trouble is to keep it simple. They're not climbing 7-foot hurdles. They're stepping over 1-footers. Berkshire's success isn't rocket science. It's picking easy wins and dodging disasters. Think about Apple. Jobs didn't build 1,000 products. He made a few perfect ones. Complexity kills. Look at Nokia, drowning in a sea of mediocre phones. Buffett says, "If something is difficult to figure, we'd rather multiply by 3 than by pi." They're not showing off. They're winning by not losing. Here's the crown jewel inversion. Munger's obsessed with it, quoting the mathematician Jacobi. "Invert, always invert." Buffett explains, "Charlie has always emphasized the study of mistakes rather than successes. All I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there." Instead of chasing what works, they map out what doesn't and steer clear. Munger's origin story is wild. "Early in life I got the idea that I would never be able to play chess blindfolded against 6 grandmasters and win. But I said, oh my gosh, I cannot be as asinine as all these other people if I just kind of work at it steadily for a long time." So he collects instances of bad judgment, building a mental catalogue of folly to avoid. Buffett's on board. "Why, I have been a student of others' folly, and it has served us well." This is chess, grandmaster level thinking. Buffett cites a New Yorker piece on Fischer's Spassky. Humans beat computers not by calculating faster, but by eliminating 99.9% of dumb moves up front. In investing, Buffett doesn't pick the 10 best Dow stocks. He cuts the 10 worst and works with what's left. Life's the same. Don't ask, "How do I succeed?" Ask, "How do I fail?" and dodge it. Take marriage. Buffett says, "Who you marry is enormously important. It'll affect everything." So invert it. Don't marry a jerk. Health. Don't smoke. Don't binge. Avoid the obvious killers. Business. Don't over-leverage, don't chase fads. It's not sexy, but it works. Here's a shocker. High IQ doesn't save you. Munger's stunned by it. The one thing that has surprised me all my life is how many people with high IQs do massively stupid things. Buffett agrees. I do find it amazing how many people with high IQs get off the track. The librarian tells a story about Everest Galois, a math genius who died at 21 in a duel over a girl. Brilliant, but dumb as a rock. Why? Buffett nails it. It's ego, it's greed, it's envy, it's fear, it's mindless imitation of other people. Munger adds, a lot of people with high IQs are terrible investors because they've got terrible temperaments. Smarts don't matter if you're a hot mess emotionally. Berkshire's edge isn't IQ, it's sanity. Buffett. If Charlie and I have any advantage, it's because we're rational and we very seldom let extraneous factors interfere. Jeff Skilling at Enron. High IQ, zero rationality. Arrogance sank him. Steve Jobs. Smart, sure, but his discipline and focus were the real magic. Munger says, it is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid, instead of trying to be very intelligent. It's not about being the brightest. It's about not being the dumbest. Now Bevelin flips the script. Here's the Jacoby way, a laundry list of don'ts and dos. It's repetitive, sure, but as the librarian says, repetition is the mother of learning. Let's hit the highlights. Buffett. You need everything to be stable, and if that decision, a spouse, isn't good, it may affect every other decision in life. The seeker laments his train-wreck marriage, and Buffett's like, my first wife, I would be an entirely different person if I hadn't married well. Inverted, avoid selfish, unstable, or toxic partners. Look for humor, character, and Buffett's half-joking low expectations. Stability compounds, chaos destroys. Munger. If you don't study history, you're a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. They're obsessed with what's come before. Business failures, human screw-ups. Buffett. I owe Charlie for teaching me why businesses win or tank. It's not about predicting the future. It's about learning what's already killed others. Think Titanic. Arrogance plus icebergs equals disaster. Study the wrecks. Munger. We don't like complexity, and we distrust other systems. The harder you work, the more confidence you get, but you may be working hard on something that is false. Experts love convoluted models. Buffett and Munger stick to the obvious. Building a skyscraper on a hill with a fancy architect. Recipe for collapse. Keep it simple, keep it safe. Buffett. It personally gives me an edge when other people are not paying attention to reading and thinking, and are instead on their phones. Munger. When you multitask like crazy, none of the tasks will be done well. Focus wins. Period. Munger. I don't know anyone who's wise who doesn't read a lot. Buffett. A good part of our success is that we spend a lot of time thinking. It's not glamorous, but it's their bedrock. Rockefeller read ledgers obsessively. Edison lived in his lab. Knowledge plus reflection equals power. Munger sums it up. If there's any secret we have, it's ignorance removal. Not brilliance, not luck. Just chipping away at what they don't know. They're not sprinting toward genius. They're walking away from idiocy. And the best part, we still have a lot more ignorance left to remove. It's a lifelong game, and they're still playing. This hits home. Elon's tearing apart physics to build rockets. Bezos devoured retail data to crush it. They don't guess, they learn. Buffett and Munger don't have a crystal ball. They've got a library card and a quiet room. That's it. So what's this book? Read like a maniac. Think like a monk, invert like Jacoby, and keep it stupidly simple. Avoid the big follies, bad spouses, bad bets, bad habits, and let the wins compound. You don't need Buffett's billions or Munger's brain to win at life, just their discipline. This book's a wake-up call. The seeker's us, flawed, fumbling, but teachable. Buffett and Munger aren't gods. They're proof you can outrun your own stupidity if you try. So grab a book, kill your phone, and start asking, where am I gonna die? Then don't go there. That's the gospel according to Omaha. Amen.